Hi, I'm Louise Grant from Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm here with Angelique Moselle Robbins, an internationally known channel. Angel is a clairvoyant medium, and she channels the angelic realm known as Geshikta. We are going to produce a series of videos to talk about Angel's fascinating journey in becoming a channel and what it's like for her in her everyday life. She is a practitioner, a therapist, an intuitive medical healer, and she works with private clients as well as with large groups of individuals around the world. Her story truly is one of the most fascinating ones that I have heard for the last 20 years of her life, being so divinely connected to the God essence, the all that is, which has created everything. And very few humans could possibly know what it feels like to truly be so divinely connected to Source. So with this series of videos, we hope to help those of you who are already on your awakened spiritual path and have understanding about humans' divine connection with God and with the angelic realm, so that all of us can become more fully attuned to the great power that we as humans have to connect to the divine. So Angel's going to lead us on her own personal journey into this most mystical and amazing adventure. So help me welcome Angel.
Hi.
Hi. Would you share with us your background, how all of this started in your life?
Sure. Well, when I was a teenager, my later teenage years, I was a drug addict. And when I was 19, I had a drug overdose and had a near-death experience. And during that dying experience, it was like I kind of slipped in between dimensions or something. And I met this massive presence. And I called it God, and it replied back to me. A better name is Geshikta. And I asked it, please help me live. I don't want to die. And went through a few hours of conversation, and I was shown my funeral. I came into a whole new appreciation about my life and really just made the decision that if I lived through that experience, I would change my life. And I did. I did live through it, and I did change my life. I stopped doing hard drugs that day, and over the next 20 years, I was led to different things that had to do with the angelic realm, had to do with what I would consider really intense spiritual learning. And so I learned from a specific woman who channeled the angel Michael.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael was my teacher for about 13 years. And so as Geshikta says now, I was really kind of grafted into that energy through all of those years of study. And when I was 34 years old, I got sick and had another near-death experience. And after that experience, I started feeling this huge energy enter my body and speak. And so the first time the energy was asked, "What is your name?" it replied that it was Geshikta. The cool thing about that was that I hadn't told anyone about Geshikta. I had one friend back when I was 19 that I had told about Geshikta, but that was it. I had kept it to myself. So that was really special for me to know that, because I was the only one that knew that name. I learned later from my father, who studied theology that the word Geschichte means story and history in German, and in fact the word is used in theological study to explain the holy history.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
How beautiful.
Yeah.
So you've been with Geschichte for now more than 20 years, but you've been the direct voice channel for about 5 years.
About 6.
Okay, about 6 years. I know you mentioned that before they were coming through your voice, you were connecting with them through automatic writings,
Yeah.
which seems to be fairly normal for people who are on that path toward channeling. They often start out with automatic writing. Is
Yeah.
that your understanding?
Yeah.
Okay. So I've, just as sort of background for you all, I have actually been a student of Angel Geschichte for 3 years. I'm with a group of other students, and we meet every single week with them, and they've profoundly transformed my life, my husband's life, and many others, bringing greater clarity, greater prosperity, understanding to us in our lives. And Geschichte has also taught us how to become intuitive healers, energetic healers, with our own practices. So I do have very intimate knowledge of the magic of working directly with Geschichte. But for Angel, the fascinating aspect of what it's like to live day in and day out as a channel just has continued to be one of the things that I'm most interested in, which is why I said I wanted to have us produce this series of videos. So when Geschichte is coming in your body, what does that feel like?
Well, first of all, I learned through my studies, I learned how to become very calm and really center in my chest, because a lot of the work that I did when I studied with Michael was having to really go center in my heart space and feel emotions deeply, feel words deeply, and be able to communicate what a word meant, and it was always 11 words or less. So through all of that training, I really learned how to center in my chest and kind of move out of the way. That's really what it feels like, because you really go into an observational state. And so that's the state I go into when I sing Geschichte song. It's the state I go into to bring them in, to ask a question, anything like that. And what happens is the first thing I feel is calm, and then the next thing I feel is like my body gets full of energy, like really strong, powerful, and not energy in the way that, you know, a lot of people think of energy like, I have energy, I'm gonna go run now, but this is more like, I have energy, I could, you know, burn a tumor out of you kind of thing. It feels just very powerful, and I think very foreign to most people. So when I feel that energy come in, I always greet them, and they greet me back, and I kind of feel myself, whatever that is, move kind of to the right inside. It seems like I sit somewhere around my liver, my consciousness does, and my whole being is filled with them.
So does your body feel, you said it feels like huge energy. Is it like vibrational? Do you see? What do you see out of your eyes as this is occurring?
Well, it depends. As conversations unfold, when they're inside me.
Mm-hmm.
It's more that I can, everything that we do, everything that we talk about, everything, you know, when you talk to me about a problem, for example, and Geschickte's in, I can feel the intricacy and the nuance of your problem. I can feel all of the energy of it. I can feel the history of it. I can feel the future of it. I can feel the present dynamic with it. And when something is being addressed, the momentum starts to move in that area. And so it feels, it's hard to explain what it feels like because I never had any experience before channeling that felt like channeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I never had any experience with feeling problem-solving momentum on cue, basically, which is what it feels like when Geschickte's in. It's like all of this problem-solving momentum is instantly applied to whatever dysfunction is being brought to the table. So the stronger the problem-solving momentum gets, the faster the energy is pouring through. And that's when I can lose track of what's being said, or because at that point I'm truly experiencing everything in energy. Wow. And which I've come to understand is actually the real way that we communicate, but we're all used to analyzing energy. And we allow our, what Geschickte calls our egoic mind, to kind of translate the energy, and we're often really wrong about it. And when they're in, that's not happening, because I think what occurs, and you'll have to ask them if this is accurate, but I think what occurs is that what I call me is my egoic mind.
Okay.
And I believe that's what gets kind of moved to the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And when Geschickte comes in, my egoic mind is literally not in the picture anymore. And that's why it feels so different, because most of us never know what that feels like to not have our egoic mind involved.
So is your highest consciousness, your highest self, what is connecting with Geschickte at that time then? If the egoic mind is no longer active, you're still aware, you're feeling everything.
I'm aware, but I don't have control.
Aware and not control.
Yeah, I have no, when Geschickte is coming through, I have zero control. None. So it's a little frightening sometimes, because sometimes the things that Geschickte will say to people, I'll be inside here going, no, don't say that, you know, but...
Because they speak truth,
yeah.
and only truth, even if it's harsh.
Yeah, yeah.
But done with love.
Yeah, yeah. Always done with love, but many people have gotten angry.
So after you have channeled for 2 hours with a group of students and they depart, how do you feel emotionally and physically after that huge charge of energy?
I feel really spacey. I feel like most of us don't realize how we kind of naturally protect ourselves. We naturally protect our energy. We are naturally not real, I call it porous. And when Geschickte comes in, there's no protective boundaries. It's very open, very porous, very expansive. I can feel everything coming from my students or clients. So it takes a lot out of me physically, because I'm not only am I channeling Geschickte's energy, which is really strong, and I believe that my body is still adjusting to that, but I'm also feeling pain and, you know, anger, sadness, whatever is coming from the people that I'm teaching or treating, because that's the way Geschichte works. They don't have that kind of protective, I think it's a human quality to protect ourselves from the emotions of others, from the energy of others, and they particularly don't do that. It's almost like that's why they're so powerful, is because they don't do that. So it wears me out. So after a class, sometimes I'll feel sick. I'll usually feel completely exhausted. I feel really spaced out and really porous. When I first started channeling, I could not talk to people afterwards. And people would always want to come up to me and talk to me. Hey, that was great what you said, as if I said it. Even when I was first channeling, I didn't remember a lot of what was said either. Now I remember more. But it was really hard at first. It's a lot better now. It's still hard.
Okay. Well, and I know that you practice the Pangu Qigong, which Qigong, to keep your life force energy up. So we can talk about that in our next video segment, because that builds your momentum so that you are able to channel so powerfully.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Thank you for joining us for our first segment of this video series with Angelique Moselle Robbins as the channel for the angelic realm Geschichte. We look forward to you joining us for other videos soon. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.